state, your community, then you're in the right place. State Representative Mike Sparks. He and guests are here to talk about local politics, history, faith, and freedom.
All right, you listen to the conversation with Mike Sparks. I'm your host, Mike Sparks. Drove up here from Murfreesboro, from Smyrna, fighting the traffic. Man, I can remember driving from Smyrna. There was no traffic on the road. You know, I could be up here in like 10 minutes.
I don't remember that.
Man, it's getting. Well, you're like, how old are you? Like younger than me.
48.
48.
Feel like I'm 88.
Richard Stone, welcome.
Thank you.
With Old
National Bank. Old National Bank out of Evansville, Indiana.
And I've got Dr. David Urban out of the MTSU College of Business. Technically, it'd be Dean
Emeritus.
Emeritus.
Yes. There we go.
How does it feel to be semi-retired?
Love it.
You know, I was just sharing.
I'm back with the students, you know, and that's the best place for me to be.
Yes. Well, you enjoy that. I know.
I do, and that's why I got in the profession. I got in the profession to not to be an administrator, but to be with the students and to help them to develop. And it's great. I got to tell you, I never got out of the classroom, but now that I'm back in it full time, it's the place for me to be.
Yes. Well, we're really honored to have you, and I mean that. I'm just kidding. I happened to call your phone, and your wife answered and said you forgot your phone. I know she's listening. I was like, hey, you got any inside information on this guy? Something like that he would not know. And she said that I asked her about what's your favorite restaurant, and she said you liked steak medium. Is that right?
Yeah, that's good
medium?
enough. Yeah,
okay.
Yeah, sure. Yeah.
I figured you was an Italian guy. I figured you like Italian.
Well, I like that too. There's nothing I won't eat. Trust me.
Yeah.
I resemble that remark.
Yeah. Well, I'm going to read a little bit of your bio, if that's okay. I did a lot of homework. You'd be proud of me.
I am proud of you. I am proud of you.
Here's some of this, because I'm usually like an impromptu kind of guy. You know, that's what my wife says, anyways. And Dr. David Urban, Dean and Professor of Marketing, Jenny Jones College of Business, served as the Chief Academic and Administrative Officer for innovative, high-impact collegiate business school with 150 full-time faculty and staff, 3,500 students, and a budget of $24 million. He developed and executed the internal and external strategic thrust for the college, also maintained the college's, there's probably a better way to pronounce this, is it AACSB?
That's close enough.
All right. Business and Accounting accreditation. Since July 13th, the college has made rapid progress, including 2 AACSB accreditation reviews in 2016, 2021, resulting in a 5-year extension of business and accounting accreditations, 14 top 50 national out of national ranking since 2016, with 8 of those coming from since 2019, a new research center established, 11 new programs launched, the start of the Flex MBA, accelerating online options, a review of the undergrad core curriculum, and the addition of the Dale Carnegie course, which we're going to get into, as a required element. Congratulations for that. Significant increase in support for research, the creation of fully staffed advising center, which is very important, a documented increase in student retention, new emphasis on branding and image building, several new gifts in excess of $1 million, and many new scholarships have been established, and building improvements, application of the college influence on decision and making through applied and sponsored research. The Dale Carnegie program, MTSU, I want to quote a guy, I'm probably chopping up his name, Renoir Hamida.
Oh, yes.
Okay.
Yeah. Renoir, yes.
Okay, I just happened to find this. He said, I'm excited to share that I've completed the Dale Carnegie training course under the guidance of Professor David Urban, the journey has been a transformational experience in mastering the art of effective communication, leadership, and personal development. A big thank you to Professor Urban for his insightful teachings and relentless encouragement. Man, that's an important word, encouragement. His expertise helped me grasp the course's core principles and apply them practically in both professional and personal settings. Why does that matter?
Well, I'll tell you what, when I was 31 years old,
yes, sir,
I took the Dale Carnegie course down in Atlanta, and I really didn't know that much about it. I had heard about it. I heard it would be beneficial, but I signed up for it. I paid for it out of my own pocket.
Wow, it was expensive.
Back in the day, It was $1,000, and
yes.
In the late 80s, that was a lot of money, for me. And it was a transformational experience. A lot of people think the Dale Carnegie course is a public speaking course, and it really isn't. It's more of a human relations course.
Yes.
And it's really all about us applying principles that are just time-tested from decades ago when Dale Carnegie wrote How to Win Friends and Influence People.
Yes.
The fact that we have to get up and talk about them is really just a way to operationalize what the principles are. In other words, we have to commit to the principles, we have to apply them, and then we have to get up in front of people and say, this is what we did. And, I got to tell you, when I was 31 years old, I thought to myself, this is a big deal for me. If I ever had the opportunity to shape a business curriculum in a major league business school, I'd try to pull that Dale Carnegie program in, because it just seems to dovetail so well with what a business curriculum is trying to accomplish.
Yes.
And so when I got to MTSU, fortunately, I was in an environment at MTSU where innovation was accepted and encouraged, and I was able to pull that Dale Carnegie course into our curriculum. And even now, even today, 10 years out, we are the only collegiate business school in the country that requires its students.
Was
to
that
take the
hard
Dale
for
Carnegie.
you when you pitched that to higher ups, Dr. McPhee and others? Were they very welcoming for that vision?
They were.
Yeah.
The tougher nut is the faculty colleagues.
Okay.
Because the natural reaction among the faculty colleagues is we don't know anything about this course.
Yeah.
Okay.
Wow.
So you have
they knew nothing.
So there's an educational element where you have to kind of discuss what that's about. But then there's a natural reaction among faculty of, well, we could do something just as good. And the truth is they can't, because they don't have decades of experience behind them. And the way the course is developed is so much different, and the delivery is so much different. It's not about me teaching.
Yeah.
It's about me facilitating. It's about me coaching. It's about me helping students to get outside of themselves.
Yes.
And you know what? Mike, you and I have talked about this many times. And it is very, very disturbing to me that in our society today, when we talk about the need for interaction and customer service and all of these different types of things in business, the truth of the matter is that we have become more insular within ourselves.
Yes.
And we are living in our own echo chambers where we're tied into social media. We deal with the things we want to deal with. We don't want to deal. We don't deal with the things that may have some difference with our way of thinking. And the truth of the matter is, we need to be exposed to different points of view. And the great thing about Dale Carnegie at MTSU, and let me tell you, we have run over 6,100 students through that course since 2015. What students tell me, aside from the fact that it helps them build their self-confidence, they say, it helps me to understand other people.
Yes.
It helps me to communicate with other people with whom I normally would not interact.
Yes.
Because naturally, we are drawn to people who are like us.
Yeah.
But the truth of the matter is, we need to interact with people
I agree.
who are different
Yes.
than we are. There is
Yes.
not a company in this country, worth its salt that would say, we need to hire this type of person and that's it.
Yeah.
We need to bring in
Yeah.
different people, different points of view, different perspectives, because that's the way we can ensure that we respond to the broad market.
Yes. Last year, I've shared with you where I see a breakdown, I see lack of civility. I call it butt hurt. And when my Sunday school teacher said, what is that? He didn't know what I meant by butt hurt. I said, what's an academic term for your tail being raw, and then he figured out what I was talking about. But I see such dysfunction. I mean, even in, I shouldn't say this on the radio, but I'm going to share it. I even seen an argument in my Sunday school class last week, and everybody's 80 years old. And I know if they're listening, forgive me, but it's, and I was like, whoa, I'm seeing this. I've never seen, other than me, I mean, I get upset. I've walked out of a Sunday school class years ago, and I get kind of passionate. I've never walked out of a college class, but I've walked out of a Sunday school class just at one time. And but I'm seeing such dysfunction. And last year you came in, you were very gracious to come in and help us. And Brian Hercules, former town manager of Smyrna, helped me put it together. And we hosted a round table with a lot of leaders there. And Mark Lewis, who heads up our Men of Hope Bible study, was in attendance. And I think a couple of pastors, I think 1 or 2 school board members were there. But I had bragged on this guy, Richard Stone, because I was talking about the Chamber of Commerce. I see, we had that chamber meeting, the interaction, and I couldn't remember your name. I'm sorry, Rich. At the time I couldn't remember. I was like, this guy, great big old guy, tall guy, and then because you used to be a Capstar.
That's right. That's right. Yeah.
And then somebody, you. I'm gonna guess you've been through Dale Carnegie.
I've had some of it. I have not had all of it, and I'm excited. I mean, I hear this. I'm like, I want to enroll.
Because you're one of his students. You're a former student.
He's one of our grads from MTSU.
Wow.
So
I didn't even know
like
that. I just
when you read through that list of all of his successes, which that's probably just a drop in the bucket, right? The one thing you didn't read in there is I'm a product of his program, right? So I graduated, I got my undergrad, my bachelor's in business administration, and went back and got my master's in financial economics, which was all derivative calculus, regression analysis, all the things that we don't do.
I'm already
every day,
confused,
right?
man. I'm already confused.
We love
Look
it.
at this bio. I mean, I have this in my phone. I would be here for 2 hours reading all this.
But I'm excited. I want to go back.
Well, I talk about here. I think my son's listening, Peyton. I hope he's listening. And I talk about, I call them God wink moments. The late Dr. Carl Jung called them synchronicities. Most people don't believe me. They don't believe me. Now I think Angela Bingham probably believes me. Roger here probably believes me. My wife believes me, because I've seen the power of God have these little miracles that happen. Like connectivity. I didn't know that you were a former student. I just said, hey man, come on up Sunday night. We'll have you on there for a little bit. And then a film producer happened to call me mysteriously last week, and he was like, he's got a movie out. He called me from Florida. He says, man, I got this movie. Would you have me on the show? He just happened to call me. Of 7 million people in Tennessee, just happened to reach out to me, and he just happened to pick Smyrna, Tennessee to air a movie called The Uncivil War, Divided America. And it's a good movie. It's about the COVID and him and his friend who's African-American. They play ball together, and then they got crossways over Black Lives Matter and some other areas, and it just got real dysfunctional that time. And he had like a mock thing about Antifa shows up at his business. Well, I could relate, because Antifa was in front of my house protesting at 3 a.m, about 6 of them, and 7 cops show up. And I could relate to some of this. My assistant's African-American. He knocked on about 4,000 doors in Rutherford County for me. I can remember him being upset over the George Floyd stuff, so I could hear him. And it was a relatable film for me. He's going to call in here at 5:35. I asked him to kind of, he knew about Dale Carnegie, but not that much. But one thing I want you, because I'm going to pin you down. You're one of these academics, man. Okay, yeah. You're an academic. Okay, but when I first met you, I was really just impressed with you. I guess it was your maybe people skills. I don't know what it was, but my son had just graduated. Preston just graduated, and I wanted him to go back and get his graduate degree, or work on CPA or something. And I think he was tired of school. Most people that graduate are they're ready to take a big break, So I was going up there, and I hadn't finished my own degree, and I remembered I had forgot to invite my own son, and I really was feeling really down. I was like, God, I'm an idiot. I forgot to invite my own son. I mean, I don't even have a degree up here. I'm going up here to meet with you. And I was working on my second book, Learn to Barter, and I was talking about the national debt, which at the time I think was $17 trillion. Remember, this is 2013, 2012. Yeah. And you told me, you said, I'm really concerned about the college tuition debt. You're the first one that even shared that with me. Well, I never thought about college tuition debt because I didn't have a lot of debt. My employer always paid for it. I paid for it out of pocket. So the next day, talking about a weird coincidence, and I talked to my stats professor day before yesterday about some of this and see if he could factor the probability. He was like, man, I don't think I can factor it. If Keith Claxton's listened, Keith, shout out to Keith Claxton, great guy. And I'm at the country club the next day. Bob Corker was there. I don't even go to the country. I don't even like the country club. The food is usually terrible, to be honest with you. Them little long string beans, and I don't even think people eat that kind of stuff. But I'm there, and Bob Corker's there. At the end, I said, Senator Corker, we just reached $1 trillion worth of college debt. What's the long-term implication of these students trying to get a home loan, car loan, whatever? And then he goes on. I was talking about getting the cost down, maybe some more online, maybe hybrid classes, this sort of thing. And your wife, you invited me to a meeting a few days after, and you're like, hey, this is Representative Sparks. And she goes, oh, you're the guy that my husband almost dropped his coffee because he opened up the paper, and my comments were in the paper, which I got from you. Yeah. And I call those strange coincidences. Then you think, well, that's just a coincidence. That's just a coincidence. Well, here's what's strange. I go to graduate. Well, here come Bob Corker walked by when I'm in line fixing to graduate 2 years later, 3 years later. He said, Sparks, what are you doing? I'm like, man, I'm fixing to graduate. He goes, really? I think he thought I was a professor or something. And so I started asking all the students, how much debt you got? How much debt you got? How much? And it was like 20,000, 25,000, 30,000. Going there real quick. And Bob just had this look like, man, this is kind of strange. So then he kind of called me out when I graduated. Then 2 years later, there was another big event. Well, I didn't go sit up front with all the top. I just sat the far back with Tracy Binkley. If you know Tracy, sat
Good
back with
friend of
Tracy. Good guy. And I'm sitting far back. And at the end, I questioned Bob Corker. I said, Senator Corker, last time I talked to you, the college debt was $1 trillion. Now it's $1,352,767,000,000. And everybody looked at me like I was being a jerk to Bob Corker. And he was like, Sparks, I'm sorry I didn't see you back there. But since I talked to him, it increased a third. Now it's what, $2 trillion?
It's crazy.
You're the first one to bring that up. And so for this filmmaker to reach out to me, I mean, I wasn't good at stats. I barely passed stats. I said there was a high probability I was going to fail that class. But how do you factor those improbable moments like that?
You don't. I mean, there are certain things that happen in your life that you can't explain except to say it must be divine providence.
If you're a believer, you're a believer.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's no point in trying to figure it out except to know that there is something else out there.
Yeah.
That is,
well, it's amazing
that is causing this.
Carl Jung, if you study him, and I'm surprised that people hadn't studied him. It amazes me, and he calls them meaningful coincidences. It's like little divine golden nuggets of direction in your life. And I think Angela, if she's listening, Angela Bingham, who will come on tonight at 6, I think she may, I don't know if she's got David coming on, but the film producer, but I think they had a great time, and I think they really liked the message of the film. But Dr. Raj, another professor of mine, I hope he's listening. I sent him a message. But I'm trying to get him to take on the issue of mental health with students, because he'll have 7 million views on his TikTok.
Yep.
But what's odd for me being in his class is we block TikTok, so I'm like in his class, so it's a little awkward. I don't do TikTok, but I think he's come around to do Facebook a little bit. What do you think about these coincidences?
I think there's something to be said about the coincidences. I will say I have 2 teenage kids. I have one that just graduated Middle Tennessee Christian, dropped her off last week at UTC. Thank you.
Yeah.
and one at Central Magnet. And the challenge that we've had with my one that was at Middle Tennessee Christian is, and this goes into those coincidences, is I firmly believe you're a product of your environment, right? So if you're doing the right things and you're going to the right places and you're continuing to be in the right environments, good things are going to happen, right?
Yes.
And the challenge I had with her, she likes to go out with her friends, and they'll go hang out, and they'll be in a parking lot, a gas station parking lot at 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning.
Oh, no, don't be doing
her,
that.
What are you doing?
Yeah.
That is not a conducive environment to grow and thrive, right? That divine coincidence or divine providence turns into a divine intervention on some level. So, I think those things are true. I think those things happen. I think that statistically, going back to the stats class, I think they are more likely to happen if you're in the right place, in the right environment, and nurture that.
Yes. Let's take a quick break. We'll be right back.
Most people know that their insurance can provide them with coverage for the many life's mishaps. But I can help you also unlock discounts, save money, and get benefits with Farmers Insurance policy perks. Whether we're discussing home or auto insurance, I am here to help you understand these great perks. Call me, Mark Lewis, at 615-625-7070 for a quote, and you can get a whole lot of something with Farmers policy perks.
We are Farmers. Bum, 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 bum.
Not available in every state. Only available with select Farmers branded policies underwritten by Farmers Truck or Fire Insurance Exchanges or affiliate.
Dr. Automotive Auto Repair and Maintenance Mechanic Shop Garage provides car owners in Smyrna, Murfreesboro, Laverne, and the Middle Tennessee area with excellent auto repair services. Deep-rooted experience in serving both foreign and domestic automobiles allows for proper diagnosis in a timely manner. Check them out online at autorepairsmyrna.com, call them at 615-220-0971, or stop on in at 1205 Hazelwood Drive in Smyrna.
AFFI is Middle Tennessee's premier choice for pest, wildlife, and moisture control. They specialize in those difficult and unique cases. You can reach them by phone at 615-300-2395. That's 615-300-2395. Or stop in at 200 Glenrose Lane in Smyrna.
My wife and I enjoy going by Yard Sale Inc. We usually go to both locations, the one in Smyrna as well as the one in Murfreesboro. A lot of times on Saturday mornings we stop by, and their inventory changes weekly, so you never know what you're going to see, and it's mostly open box. The name fits it. It's exactly that. It's a yard sale. If you don't totally agree with the price, the staff is always friendly and nice and willing to work with you.
That's the Yard Sale store in Smyrna at 111 Enon Springs Road West, in Murfreesboro at 204 South Front Street, and online at bestdealintown.com.
Josh Moss with Affordable Heating and Cooling provides residential HVAC and duct cleaning services to the Middle Tennessee area. With more than 20 years of experience, Josh Moss and the AHC team provide 24/7 service and take care to ensure whatever work you need done is done in a professional, timely manner. Contact AHC at 615-745-1676. That's 615-745-1676. Or go to their website at affordableheatingandcoolingtn.com.
Hi, this is Allie Dowenhauer with Isaiah 117 House. Isaiah 117 House provides physical and emotional support for children awaiting foster care placement here in Rutherford County. We are changing the way foster care begins, and those kiddos are brought to our house to hang out and wait for a foster family, and they're given everything they need. We support foster children, DCS, and foster families here in Rutherford County. Visit us at www.isaiah117house.com or visit our Facebook page, Isaiah 117 House, Rutherford County.
Hey, we're back. Conversation with Mike Sparks. Joining me is Dr. David Urban and Richard Stone. Speaking of coincidences, synchronicities, God-wink moments, whatever you want to call them, I think they're real. Dr. Carl Jung said they're real. Albert Einstein, you know what Albert Einstein said, Dr. Urban?
I know a lot about what he said.
He said coincidences are God's way of remaining anonymous. That was Albert Einstein said that. That was pretty cool. But, I had a sister that passed a few weeks ago or a few months ago, Vicky, and loved her to death. She spent a lot of time in the nursing home. That's what put me on with music therapy, because I heard her singing the song, Country Road, Take Me Home, and she didn't know my name. And she's confined to a wheelchair, and I thought she had a brain injury. I thought, how could she know the words to a song, did not know my name? And that's what got me thinking, could there be music? Could music help with third grade reading? Could music help with therapy? Could music help people in prison? Could music help folks that have been sexually abused when they were juveniles? Could it help? And I think it is proven that it can help. But I was with the attorney, had to go before Toby Gill the other day, and Toby was very compassionate with the whole ordeal. And I watched my sister lose everything to care. And shout out to Humana, who wasn't worth a damn, by the way. Never buy a Humana policy. I'm just saying. She sold insurance. She had a policy with Humana, and they would tell me that she had 120 days worth of skilled nursing, and the nurse home would call, they would turn them down. The only time I got a call from Humana is when I had Fox 17 News, young reporter come to the nursing home. That's the power of the media. That's why I'm going back to school and learning a little bit of media, because it is a powerful tool, just like this station. But Mark Moore was the attorney that helped us, and Mark was saying, Mike, we got to go, because I guess I'm the executor, because my folks are my siblings are out of the state, and had to go get sworn in. And he said, we're going to go by the bank, get 2 checks out at First Bank, where she banked, went over to your bank.
Old National Bank.
Yeah, that's
right.
and you're a little off the beaten path in a way. It's not too bad, but it's a little off the beaten path. And I asked him, I said, why you bank here? And I like what he said, Dr. Urban. He says, everybody here knows my name. Because I walked in and like, hey, Mark, hey, Mark, hey, Mark, hey, Mark. And then you come around, hey, Mark. And then you said hello to me. And then I was like, okay, it's kind of a small bank. It's nice. Somebody knows your name. And then all of a sudden he shows me, he says, man, this bank is paying 5% on a 5-month CD and 5.15 on a money market. It's like, really? He's like, that's another reason I bank here. How y'all going to do that and stay in business?
Well, first, Mike, terribly sorry to hear about your sister, but when we talk about the lack of civility and some of the challenges we have in society, I think the lack of a core family is part of that, but it's wonderful that you can be there. Couldn't have been there for your sister. How do we stay in business that way? Well, look, we're a relatively big bank. We're headquartered in Evansville, Indiana, but we try to act like a small bank, right? So, how do we do that? Look, we're trying to grow relationships, and we don't talk about what rates are. I can tell you what rates were Friday. Yeah. When we close the doors at 5 o'clock. Yeah. But come 8:30 Monday morning down at 2230 Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. Boulevard, when we open the doors at 8:30 on Monday morning, rates may be different.
Well, I was going to ask you, because I'm going to come see you.
Yeah.
I went by another bank. I'm not going to say which one, somebody I bank with. I said, can you match this? They couldn't match you. But they got close, but they couldn't match you. They couldn't come close to your money market. So I'm going to come see y'all this week and make a little deposit and get something. So that money market, you're allowed to draw it 3 times a month?
Well, historically, due to regulation, money markets are considered the same as savings accounts. Okay. And you can make a limited number of withdrawals out of it. We're starting to get back to that point. During the pandemic, the federal government said, well, let's get away from that minimum withdrawals. We need people to save money, put it in the money market and those things. Reg D, I believe, is the reg that regulates that, and it says you can do up to 6 a month. But that has been waived.
So you'll have a debit card you can use as well as a check.
Your debit card's going to be set up on your checking account, but you can pull money out of that money market and put it in your checking account.
Okay.
But we're migrating back towards that. A money market is for savings, right? You put money in there and you save it. But we're not entirely there yet, so you can still take money out without penalty.
Yeah. Well, also, you threw your hat in to run for Middle Tennessee Election Board.
Middle Tennessee Electric, yes. So for a little over 6 years, I served on the Murfreesboro Electric Board.
Okay.
And while on that board, I took it upon myself I wanted to learn as much as I could about the electric industry.
Yes.
So they have a certification program through the municipal world as the American Public Power Association, going back to the AACSB.
Okay.
We had an APPA, but I became certified as a board member. And what that did is taught me some important things about power generation. How does a TVA generate our power?
Yes.
Power distribution. Now, when we sold Murfreesboro Electric to Middle Tennessee Electric, how do people, when outside of flipping a switch and the light coming on, how does it all work? Right now, there's a generator somewhere generating electricity that makes all this work. And if that generator goes down, everything we're doing right now goes down. So, and then all the way down to, how do we take care of the community, the employees, our linemen who are out there in the middle of the night repairing those limbs that went down last night, right?
Yeah.
So I became passionate about the electric industry. Spent a little over 6.5 years on the board. We sold the utility municipality to Middle Tennessee Electric. Chris Jones and that team over there does a wonderful job. When you mentioned the 7 million people in Tennessee, 10% of those get their electricity through Middle Tennessee Electric. And then after that merger, I went onto the nominating committee. So when board seats were open, I was part of Ted Beatty's team there. He's our chairman of the nominating committee for 4 years now. And then Dr. Brown decided she wasn't going to run for re-election. Ted Beatty called me and said, "Hey, Richard, would you be interested in doing this?" I said, "Well, I think I can add value to the board. I can add value to the community, which Middle Tennessee Electric's very involved in the community. They have some wonderful programs, and they're just out there all the time."
Well, one thing that I serve on the utilities committee with the state, and we see hear a lot of debate statewide, and one thing I'm proud of Middle Tennessee Electric, the success rate would be 99.99. Is that what the rate is?
I think there's one more 9 in there.
It's another 9.
It's a lot of 9. It's a lot of 9.
And there's another electric company to the north of us. I have some of them in my district, and I've told people, I said, if you see my friend Marty Luffman, Marty's probably listening, and Marty's confined to a wheelchair and hospital bed, and I was with him about a year ago. Electricity was shut down. And we don't have that problem in Middle Tennessee Electric. We don't have that problem here. But if you're in Antioch, North Laverne has some outages. I won't say the name of the company because my father-in-law is a retired lineman. And but Middle Tennessee Electric, man, they really do an awesome job. And I think that consolidation was just very wise.
Yeah, one of the things you don't see that Middle Tennessee Electric does is, and you can pick up the paper. I've seen 2 articles in the last 2 weeks in the Wall Street Journal about the aging infrastructure of utilities. There was a utility in New York that this year had, I think, a 10 or 15% increase already, and the utility has to go back to the state to get approval for increases, and they're going back asking for another 15 or 25% increase. And the reason that is because they did a poor job maintaining the infrastructure, the lines, the transformers.
Look at Dallas. What was it? Dallas, Fort Worth, that area. Was it 3 years ago? All the way up to Memphis was shut down. I forgot how long that grid was shut down.
Yeah, but the great thing about Middle Tennessee Electric, they continue to reinvest in our infrastructure. Yes. So that's how you get that reliable power, is having, one, wonderful people that work there, but two, continuing to invest and not trying to save every penny and not invest in the system until one day you have this catastrophic event where you have to go out and increase everybody's rates 50%.
Yes. We are very blessed. We are very blessed.
We are. It's a wonderful system.
That merger, you want to add anything to that merger?
Well, it did make a lot of sense from my perspective, and I was commenting to my wife just the other day. I said, we've lived here for 11 years. How many times have we had a power outage? We haven't.
Yeah, exactly.
We haven't.
We've been very blessed.
We've seen a flicker here and there, but that's it. Yeah. And that's not an accident. Yeah. That happens because of, as Richard said, the investment in the infrastructure to be able to make sure that we have the power we need.
I had the other company, which I won't mention her name, north of us. A citizen was trying to call me to get a light put up in a terrible intersection in Laverne, and I called this company, won't say the name, and couldn't get a hold of nobody. And then they finally gave me two numbers for the people to contact in the city of Laverne. I called the guy, and he knew me. He says, "Mike, I've been gone for 5 years." Like, that's how old that was. And I'm not saying the name of the company. I know the lobbyists. They'd be mad if I said their name on the radio. But I finally got a hold. The CEO never did call me, and I think that guy got a big $75,000 pay raise. And finally, lobbyist gets a hold of me. He said, "Hey, man, what's going on?" I said, "What if I was a widow? What if I was somebody raising 3 kids and your electricity shut down in the wintertime? I mean, I'm a lawmaker, and I get this run around. What if you were just somebody just elderly needing help?" And I said, "I can't get a hold of nobody." And your CEO, by the way, never would return my call. That's always stuck with me. And I like the guy that's comes by and sees me. He'll probably hear about it too, get mad at me. But it was disconnect. Think of that analogy, disconnect in this electric company. Middle Tennessee Electric, man. I'm a big fan. Speaking of connectivity, I've got filmmaker David Siracusa of the film The Uncivil War Divided America. David, how you doing?
I'm great, Mike. How are you doing?
Doing good. Did you get to listen in earlier on the conversation with Richard and Dr. Urban?
I did, and I absolutely loved it. That is absolutely what I'm talking about.
Well, what motivated you to take on this enormous project of making this movie?
Well, I had to be crazy because just putting it out there, I have gotten amazingly hateful comments from people. And,
really?
You know, that I don't see myself as special for that, because you open up Facebook or any social media out there and you'll just see it. You know, you say that you're for one guy or the other guy, or in this case, the lady, and immediately the insults begin flying. You'll get some people that are nice, but a lot of people they are angry, and it's it feels like we're living in an angry time. And the film talks about two people that try to have a polite conversation about what's happening in the world. Now, this was set in 2020, so I heard you describe it a little bit earlier, you know, George Floyd and COVID and everything that was just happening to us. And I always say happening to us because a lot of it was stuff that we just couldn't control in the world. And I think that really messes with people when you feel like you don't have control. I think that makes everything 1,000 times worse.
You know, I may have shared this with you last week. I had a friend of mine call, Joe Lux. Hopefully Joe didn't get mad at me sharing his name on the radio, but Joe called me and he's all tore up about politics. And I was like, dude, you got to chill. You just got to chill, brother. I said, go get you a couple pieces of bread and go down there to Faith Santa Marina and just feed the ducks. Just go down there and just feed some ducks. Just relax. And I said, because me and you and I are not going to make 0.0001 difference on this election. Now, we can make a difference on Richard Stone getting elected to the Middle Tennessee Electric Board. Go out there and vote tomorrow. Go Tuesday at the Middle Tennessee Electric office. Or we can make a difference on the next mayor, or next difference on who your county commissioner is, or your school board member is, or your road board is. We had a tie election in Smyrna one time, and it does make a difference. But, man, I see people get worked up, and all that stress, I mean, it's been proven it can lead to heart problems and cancer and everything else. I liked your movie. I mean, it's a little, I don't want to say racy, but you had little moments in there. I remember I'm sitting beside my mother-in-law, you know. You knew I was sitting beside my mother-in-law, right? Okay.
I warned you, man. I told you. I said, there's some stuff in there. And, you know, it's funny. I think I told you that looking back on the film, you know, because you can't do anything about it. When you look back, that was 3 years ago, 4 years ago, and you say, okay, well, now I would have done the film a little bit differently. But that's how I did the film at that time, and I can't go back and change it now. That's
exactly.
History.
Yeah.
You know, and that's the thing about people trying to erase history is, okay, at the time, what you did might have made sense.
Yes.
It's tough to judge someone looking backwards, or I guess it's easy to, but it's not fair, I guess.
Yes, and Rutherford County, man, we've got, I think I was after you to do a documentary on John DeBerry, and if you go studying what happened to him, he marched with Dr. King. He was at the mountaintop speech. He was taken off the ballot, served Memphis voters 26 years. Then we've got the old Jefferson community. There's such opportunity right here in Rutherford County for so much history. There's 35,000 young men that were killed over here, just a mile from us, 1.5 miles. In this area, there were people lost, and people lost at our courthouse. But I appreciate your courage and conviction. So you're looking at getting connected with theater here in Murfreesboro. What's the name of the theater up here?
AMC.
The AMC.
And then we got the Premier 6. It's
Premier 6. Is that who you're talking to, David?
Yes.
Yeah.
Premier
that's a good
6
one.
is the one that I'm talking to right now. Yeah. Well, I'm also talking to Malco again as well, but I think we might end up at the Premier 6 this year.
Yeah.
Or this time. And we're hoping for Thursday, September 5th. I'm still waiting to hear availability that night.
Yeah.
But we had 25, 27 people, something like that, in the theater. And I dropped that on you guys like a bomb, like the day before. And Mike, you were amazing for getting me on all the shows there.
Oh, that was, hey man, the Lord lined it up. It wasn't me. That's what I talk about synchronicity. Remember, I'm with the top academic. I'm looking at this guy. This guy's got like a couple of doctorate degrees in business right here in front of me. Did you hear me talk about synchronicities, God wink moments?
Absolutely. Yeah.
The lower line is
yeah, go ahead.
I said the lower line did. I mean, seriously, you couldn't. If you try to factor the probability, it's just so improbable. You can only say it's divine. But I like the message. You know, we can all go back and change something. Wish we'd have done this or that. But I could relate because I was sharing after the movie. You opened it up for questions. I know Angela and her friend Angela Bingham, that is, were excited. Others, and we had a mixed group. We had a couple of Latinos there, about 6 or 7 African Americans there, females, older folks, younger folks. My friend Chip is the one that kept giggling all the time about some of the Trump jokes. That's Chip Henderson. But I can relate to the Antifa because, you know, Antifa was in front of my house, you know, and protest. I'm the only one that they've ever come after, which is really a badge of honor. I just wish they would have emailed me or called me and had some decent civil dialogue. They're paid to protest. They were probably paid $25 an hour, 6 people. They were there at my house for probably 15 minutes. I heard that they were coming in town, and the guy called me and said, dude, you're a target. Be careful. And, you know, I wasn't even home that night. I was with General Haston in California at the National Training Base. And I told my wife, I said, here's my life insurance policies. In case something ever happens to me, here's my policies, which freaks her out. And she called me at 3 a.m. out there in California, or 2, whatever it was. She said, hey, there's 7 cop cars there and 6 protesters beating a drum and yelling through a bullhorn. Woke up my whole entire neighborhood out there. And they're paid to come out there and do that.
Yeah, honestly, Mike, I mean, $25 an hour, that's pretty good money. So,
well, under Biden economics, they need to raise it to like $35 an hour now.
Yeah. Well, I did hear you guys talking earlier about Dale Carnegie, and you know, it's funny. That's actually a big point of the movie as well, and that is that this generation, and I think a big part of it was what happened with COVID, is individuals do not know how to interact with other individuals any longer. This generation, I feel so bad for them because they don't know how to walk up and look someone in the eye, reach out, shake their hand, say, hello, my name is David Siracusa. Tell me something about your company. How can I get involved? What can I do? How can I advance in your company? And, oh, what's your company do for the world? What is it? You know, they don't understand how to engage, how to show genuine interest in something else that someone else cares about, you know, not just, hey, what can you do for me? What can I do for you? And I think a big part of that is the keyboards that everybody sits behind now. And Mike, you and I talked about that, you know, people just making comments and not looking each other in the eye. And so you don't know that you're yelling at someone's grandmother or someone's son or somebody's uncle. It's just a faceless person.
Yeah, Mike, you know, you and I talked about this a little bit the other day, and you recommended me go out, and I did go watch the trailer for the Uncivil War, which I'm really interested in seeing it, but it made me think and start thinking, you know, are we really uncivilized? And my opinion is yes and no. And what I mean by that is I think the internet has redefined our community, right? So we're civil in our community. And what our community used to be 30, 40 years ago were the folks that we see every day, right? So when you were sitting in rush hour coming down here, probably took you 30 minutes or more to get here. The folks that you're sitting at the red light next to that are making you angry because they're not going when the light turns green and this and that, those folks used to be part of your community. So when I look at the definition of community, today with the internet, it's redefined our community.
Yes.
All folks are civilized with their community. The question is, how do they define that community?
Yes.
There are 5 folks in this room, and these folks you're all part of my community. I'm going to be civil to you because outside of the nature of my business, that's just who I am, right? And I want to be nice to you, and I want to see you thrive and be successful in those things. Whereas if in a lot of this world, you sit behind that keyboard, and your community's not the folks that you're in rush hour traffic with and traffic jam with. Your community's on the internet.
And David, you spoke about some of that. I think after the film. Go ahead with that.
Absolutely. Yeah, I was going to say. I was actually going to say, Mike. Remember, I gave you my example for that. Exactly what you were just saying there, sir. Is if you're in your car and you see someone screaming and yelling and giving the finger and that sort of thing, but if you're at a supermarket and someone cuts you off with their shopping cart, you're not going to have the same reaction because you're looking that individual in the eye. You realize you're speaking to a human being. You're not screaming at a car, a nameless, faceless individual. And that's how it is behind the keyboard, I think, a lot of the times. Because even old friends of mine will start yelling at me, and I'll be like, I can't believe they're yelling at me.
Wow.
But again, I think it's the division of the computer. I don't think they'd speak to me that way if we were standing face to face. Now, I could be wrong. Maybe they would.
Yeah.
I don't know. But I don't think so.
Yeah.
Well, it's interesting when we teach the Dale Carnegie course and I walk in on the first day and I see students pulling out their tablets and their laptops and their phones. And the first thing I say to them is, put those things away. That's not what this course is about. This course is about interacting with each other one-on-one, face-to-face.
Yeah.
And I tell them the first day, I said, now look, by the end of this semester, you are going to know everybody in this room.
Yeah.
You're going to know their first name, their last name, and you're going to know a lot about them. And some of the students look at me and you can just hear them, saying, yeah, right, I get that. But for the vast majority of my students, it's the first course that they took in college in which they knew everybody in the class.
Wow.
And that is a huge breakthrough for a lot of people, because and the other thing that we do, quite honestly, is that we have sort of groups of students around the room, and we change them up.
Good for you.
And the reason we change them up periodically throughout the semester is that they get to interact with the other students. And it takes them out of their comfort zone, because they kind of get to know a group of students, and then they say, well, why are you changing this? Why are you doing this? I said, because you need to be able to interact with other people.
Yeah.
And I've got to tell you, we talk a lot in this country about diversity. And the truth of the matter is, diversity, in my mind anyway, has nothing to do with what percentage of different types of people are in your relevant population.
Yeah. What
real diversity is being able to interact with people who are different from you.
Yeah.
And to be able to do so and understand. And this is the key point. When people who are different from each other on the surface interact with each other, 9 times out of 10 they realize, we're not really that different.
Amen.
That's really, sort of a benefit that when we implemented the course, we knew it was going to happen, but to see it happen is just awesome.
That's fulfillment. Let's take a quick break. David, can you hold on while we go to a break?
Absolutely.
All right, we'll be right back.
Most people know that their insurance can provide them with coverage for the many life's mishaps, but I can help you also unlock discounts, save money, and get benefits with Farmers Insurance policy perks. Whether we're discussing home or auto insurance, I am here to help you understand these great perks. Call me, Mark Lewis, at 615-625-7070 for a quote, and you can get a whole lot of something with Farmers policy perks.
We are farmers. Bum, 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 bum.
Not available in every state. Only available at select Farmers branded policies underwritten by Farmers Truck or Fire Insurance Exchanges or affiliate.
Hello and buenos dias. I'm Lisette Lopez, your bilingual real estate agent at Keller Williams Murfreesboro. I specialize in helping you make informed decisions that align with your goals. I'm offering free classes from how to fix your credit to investing to create generational wealth. Start your real estate journey with Lisette Lopez today. Call me at 954-552-4932. The number again is 954-552-4932. Or browse my website at lopezsellstn.kw.com. Thank you.
Hey, Middle Tennessee, it's Mark from the Safe House. And now the security riddle of the day. What's less secure than a fake safe from a big box or furniture store? Joe Biden's fake border policy, of course. But hey, there is good news. This time next year, Joe Biden will not be president. So drop by the Safe House and check out the largest selection of safes in the Southeast. Build a wall around your valuables with a safe from the Safe House. We have certified delivery crews to deliver and install your safe. Don't let a crackhead or illegal deliver your safe. With over 30 years in the safe business, the Safe House is the place to buy a safe in Tennessee. So go to NashvilleSafehouse.com.
My wife and I enjoy going by Yard Sale Inc. We usually go to both locations, the one in Smyrna as well as the one in Murfreesboro. A lot of times on Saturday mornings we stop by, and their inventory changes weekly, so you never know what you're going to see, and it's mostly open box. The name fits it. It's exactly that. It's a yard sale. If you don't totally agree with the price, the staff is always friendly and nice and willing to work with you.
That's the Yard Sale store in Smyrna at 111 Enon Springs Road West, in Murfreesboro at 204 South Front Street, and online at bestdealintown.com.
Hey, we're back. Conversation with Mike Sparks. Got Dr. David Urban, Dean of the College of Business, Emeritus, retired. Richard Stone with Old National Bank, paying 5.15 on the money market, folks. Go see him at Dr. Martin Luther King Boulevard, right?
2230 Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. Boulevard.
I'm going to come see you this week.
And candidate for Middle Tennessee Electric Board.
Yeah, they go vote tomorrow. And
yes,
Tuesday.
7:30 to 5 o'clock at your local Middle Tennessee electric location.
Yeah. Well, what was strange about, how this got connected was I see such dysfunction. And I see so much ego and excessive pride. And the Bible talks about that. What pride come before a fall. I heard my mom say that every time I went to say something, like my mom would say, you better remember, don't be bragging, don't be like, well, I'm going to do this, Mom. Well, you better ask God to help you do that. You better, and I just, and here's what it is. When I look at Jesus himself, and I like what Mark Lewis says, and I don't know my Bible like Mark does, but he says, Jesus had 12 disciples. Was it 12 disciples? Is that right? Okay, so it was 12, right? Okay,
you're on the right track.
All right, and look what he did. He took the whole message of the gospel and spread it worldwide with no shoes. Well, they had some sandals, I guess. I mean, you talk about marketing. Mm-hmm. I watched something on video last night. It was talking about that highway. Is it Capernaum? Mm-hmm. Okay, and he was like, that's where he set up his headquarters. I was watching. I said, man, that's pretty masterful. Right there by a highway. And you look at what Jesus taught, love your neighbor as yourself. And you can't get no better than that. And one of my professors, Dr. Raj, I hope you don't mind me sharing, calling him out. Got 7 million views, by the way, TikTok celebrity. And met with him last week. He was up, I think, in D.C. on the way to New York with putting his daughter in one of the colleges up there. And one of the guys recognized me. You're Dr. Raj. And he got a picture with, made a video, and is trying to hook him up with a job. I mean, that's a caring professor right there. But I got to meet with him, and I'm not saying I knew he wasn't a Christian. I kind of sense it. He wasn't a Christian, but I quoted Gandhi because he's from India, and I said, I like something Gandhi said. Gandhi said, I like your Jesus. It's those Christians I have a problem with because those Christians are so unlike your Jesus. Mm. So I think for us, we need to be more like Christ with that servant's attitude, servant's heart, which is difficult. I could talk a good talk up here, and now I got to go implement it after I leave here. Fighting traffic all the way back to Smyrna, and people, you lose your temper sometimes, man. But David, you still there?
I'm still here.
Hey, David, sounds like we got another project for you, man. I got your top guys right here. I got Dr. Raj with 7 million views. I think he's listening in. His assistant just talked to her. I'm hoping she'll take this project of us being in the studio here and help me elevate that discussion with her. Mark, she's a grad student. But I know your next project you're going to talk about, was it The Fear of Flying? That's kind of where you're wanting to go with your next project, correct?
That's the next film that I'm going to shoot, yeah. Again, that's kind of a story about my life. Then after that, I get away from me. But this next one talks about fear of flying. I haven't flown commercially in 20 years, and a little bit of using the Lord to get me back up into the air, to see my only daughter get married in Italy, and a little bit about family and making amends, that sort of thing.
Yes. Well, I think this area right here is right for this type of discussion. I think with the Dale Carnegie program, I think it is a healer. I mean, my logic is it's the Christian faith. I mean, up here at WGNS, you're going to get a lot of diversity. The next show, Angela Bingham and others, Simplicity Radio is a little different than mine. Then you got Ed Raymer coming on at 8, and Ed was very gracious to host you last week, and so was Angela, which I thought was very commendable.
I had a great time on both their shows. Really did. It was fun.
Well, that also your producer is from here, right?
My director is from Murfreesboro. Yes.
And what was his name again?
Huff. Andrew Huff.
Andrew Huff. Do you know if he has any connection to MTSU?
I do not know that, actually.
Yeah.
I know he was originally from Texas. I don't know how long he's been in Murfreesboro, but I know he loves it in Tennessee.
Well, you got the John Brack School of Journalism, some of the top media areas, College of Business, one of the top schools in the nation. Am I right, Dr. Urban?
Absolutely.
Absolutely. And I think this area is right. Well, David, thank you for calling in. Be in touch with your next project, and then this project at the AMC and Premier 6. So get in touch with Angela, myself, and Ed Raymer and Brian Barrett. I know we'll be happy to try to help you with it. Okay.
That's fantastic. I hope I'll get back up there. Like I said, hopefully September 5th, Thursday, we'll have another showing. I'd love to come up to do the shows again because I had a great time with everybody there.
Yeah.
And I hope we pack the house out.
We will. Thank you so much, David. I'll catch up with you, brother.
Awesome.
Right.
Thanks,
Thank you, sir. We'll see. Dr. Urban, I don't know, you didn't want to get into, you're going to be teaching here pretty soon, right?
Well, I got, about 8-9 days to go.
Are you a hard professor?
I'm tough. I'm
what's
tough.
What's your rate my professor rating?
Yeah, what is it?
I tell you what, I don't rate my professor that much, but I got back in the full-time classroom this past spring semester, and and one of the lowest rating I got was a 4.7 out of 5.0. So
really,
I can still bring it, baby.
Yeah,
I'm telling you, I'm telling you what. 39 years in the profession, and I can still bring it.
What's Dale Carnegie?
Well, you know what?
How to win friends, influence people.
It's the students. I love the students.
No, there are some good students.
And you know what? They appreciate what we do for them.
I shared this with you. Now, Richard, this is really pretty cool. Talk about strange coincidence. I want Jackson to hear this, and Jeremy as well. I was in class with Dr. Raj, and I've got to be able to share my faith with the class a couple of times. Just some things came up about Israel. I talked about Israel, and I think it's part of prophecy, and the Jewish nation. I mean, there's not another group of people that's been persecuted more than the Jewish people. And a little girl come up to me. Sweta Nepal is her name, and she's from Nepal, which is out near India. She comes up, and I said, "Man, what?" And she says, "I just want to let you know I'm studying Christianity." I was a little shocked. She said right in front of Dr. Raj, and I was like a little shocked that she said that. She had been going to church. I was like, "Oh wow." Then she says, "I said, well, what has set you apart? You're just outgoing," and she's looking for a job, by the way, and just awesome student and interactive. And you know what she tells me? Remember, this is the next day after I wrote an article about it was called "The Lack of Civility is a Threat to the Republic." Okay, and I put that in my Tennessee Ledger newspaper, which is being revamped right now, and just wrote an article about this. And I talk about Dale Carnegie. I talk about the butt hurt that I see in our culture today. You know what the little girl says? I said, "What has set you apart?" You know what she said? What'd she say?
I took the Dale Carnegie course.
Amen.
There we go, baby.
What's the odds of her saying that?
Yeah.
But you know what those students told me? I said, "Where y'all get your news? You watch Channel 4, 2, 4, 17? You know what they said? SpongeBob SquarePants." I was like, "SpongeBob SquarePants? What are you talking about? Some cartoon, the fish on the cartoon." Have you heard the students tell you that?
No, I don't.
I'm just telling what they told me.
Yeah.
They don't watch TV.
It's not like it used to be, Mike.
You remember what you said at that meeting in our last few minutes? Remember, you invited me, and your wife said, "Man, my husband almost drops a cup of coffee, sees your name, your comments in the paper." You made me sound really smart to Bob Corker, by the way. And you were really fired up. You remember, you were really fired up at that meeting with everybody in there was 70 plus. I think Dr. McPhee and everybody else was there. And you said, "We got to reach these students where they're at. We got to catch them where they're at. We got to catch them on their phones. We got to catch them on their iPads. We got to catch them where they're at." And you pointed at me.
I said, "Sparks, we're going to get it done while you're in office."
And I was like, "Yeah." And I was the only one clapping for a while. Richard Stone, go vote Richard Stone tomorrow.
I appreciate you. Thank you, Mike.
Dean Urban, appreciate you. Jeremy Spenson. Also, we've got go ahead, Jeremy, on the announcement.
So, per Roger Thomas over here, he wanted me to plug the Little Southern Bunker Bash at the Sam Davis home this Saturday, August 24th, 10 to 5. Free admission.
Southern Bunker. Thank y'all.
Portions of our programming have been pre-recorded. The Good Neighbor Network. WGNS Murfreesboro. W270AF Murfreesboro. W263AI Murfreesboro, Smyrna.